I'm Mac the Maker, and today we're going to be following up on my previous video in the Learning 3D Design for Wargaming series with a new video talking about how to use TinkerCAD to design some Dragon's Teeth tank barriers. So you can see I have my blog page up here that I posted today after way too much work covering some history and etc. of Dragon's Teeth tank barriers. I'll spare you most of it unless you really want to read all kinds of flawed methodology on coming up with sizing. But there doesn't seem to be a straight uniform size on Dragon's Teeth barriers, so I kind of based all my design and shapes off this photo here of Winston Churchill touring the Siegfried Line. Let me pull up a bit bigger picture from LME stock photo. Yeah, so I'm kind of basing all my extrapolations on this photo because we can use Winston Churchill and Field Marshal Montgomery are 5'6", so we're able to use those heights and kind of extrapolate some of the sizes very, very loosely and inaccurately, but it's a little bit better than just guesstimating. So you can see in this picture we've got about 5 different sizes of Dragon's Teeth. Over here on the left you kind of have this sloped guy here, asymmetrically sloped, and he goes into towards the middle where you have your typical equilateral truncated pyramids here, and then they start to get taller, and as you get over to the right they get really, really tall. I'm going to cover how to do all those with the exception of this very first design, which I'm calling style A, simply because that asymmetrical slope isn't something you can really do in TinkerCAD very easily. So what I did was I whipped that up in Wings 3D very quickly and uploaded it up to Thingiverse, and the link's in my blog at macthemaker.com, all the way down at the bottom here. And we'll cover at the end how to import that into TinkerCAD, so you'll have that and you can play with that as well. So let's go ahead and get started with TinkerCAD here. So I've already logged in and changed my file name from the TinkerCAD generated name to Dragon's Teeth video. The work plane and everything, if you remember from the last video. This one should hopefully be much quicker. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So hover your cursor over the ruler, hold the left mouse button down, and just drag it on the work plane. Doesn't matter where for this video. We're not really going to be using the 0 point to figure out dimensions or anything. So just as long as it's on the work plane is fine. And I'm going to grab out the pyramid shape here. And then we're going to use a hole to kind of change the shape. So I'm going to grab a box out real quick. And once I've clicked on the box, I have its inspector here. And I'm just going to click on hole real quick to make it a hole. And then I'm going to roughly move it, kind of touching the pyramid here. You can kind of see if I pan around. This part isn't too critical. And then I'm going to extend the height here on the cube. Now in the first video we did, we simply used the hole to cut out the whole shape, so we used the square hole to cut out square holes. In this, we're actually just using the hole to change the final shape. So I'm kind of looking at this, and I'm going to go back real quick to my big photo and kind of eyeball that part where the pyramid gets truncated there, and that looks pretty close. So I'm happy with that. So it looks like it's about 13 millimeters off the ground. I'm going to click over here in the white space, hold the left mouse button down and drag my selection box. Make sure both items are selected. I'm going to come up here and hit group. And after a second or two, we have our basic truncated pyramid. So I'm going to come back over to the blog post, scroll down. Now for these dimensions here, I'm doing true 1/56 scale or true scale 28 millimeter. So if you're using these for GW, they're probably going to be a bit small. But I did put the 1:1 scale dimensions, so you can figure out the bigger scale for, because before I use 140 for 40K. So you would just take this 1-to-1 scale dimension and divide it by 40. Excuse me. To get the dimensions for that. So if I scroll down a little bit here, I've already done the scale numbers for 156. So we're not going to do style A again because of the weird shape is kind of hard to do in TinkerCAD, but we can do styles B, C, and D. So style B is 17.6 millimeter tall with a base of 20.4 millimeters, and style C has the same base of 20.4 millimeters, but the height is 20.86. So I'm going to come back over to TinkerCAD, and we're going to make this first one the style B. So I'm going to change the height to 17.6. And honestly, the base at 20 millimeters is close enough to 20.4 to not really worry about. So there's our first Jersey barrier. Easy peasy. And if you're happy with this, you can export it as an STL and print up as many as you want. Print up a master, make a mold, whatever. But and these would be perfectly fine on the battlefield. I don't think anybody would notice that you're missing some of the other shapes and sizes. But we'll go ahead and cover all of them because they only take a couple extra minutes. So I'm going to click on this again. And real quick, I'm going to use the duplicate feature. So I'm going to hold the control button down and just peck the D button real quick. You'll kind of see the orange flash, and then when I click on the pyramid and pull it over, we now have 2. And the base is the same on this, the C style as the B style pyramid. Dragon's Tooth. It was just the height that was a little bit different. So I'm just going to come over here to the Z axis, click that, and change that to, it was 20.86, we'll just say 21. And there's the slightly taller variant. And then finally, I'm going to hit Control D again. And when you do that, you'll see it kind of moved the same distance from the second one I did as the second one is the first one, and kind of extended the height there the same distance. So keep that in mind when you use the duplicate feature, that it can have unintended consequences. If you're worried about that, you can always just hit the Control C and Control V paste commands. So I'm just used to using duplicates, so that's why I do it. So for this one, I'm going to go back real quick and check the source material. So 36.2 tall with a base of 36.2. So I'm going to come down here, change the base to 36.2, and the height to 36.2. Oops. Now you'll notice I only at first changed the x-axis. That was just kind of a speed inconvenience. I still need to change the y-axis to make them square. So to do that, I'm just going to scroll over here and find my y-axis and do 36.2 again. And then for these two, they were 20 cubed, or I'm sorry, 20 squared. So there is the B, C, and D style of Jersey barrier. Easy peasy. And real quick, we'll go to, if you go to that link in my blog for the Thingiverse file, it's not up right yet. There's a 24-hour waiting period as I just made an actual Mac the Maker account there as opposed to using my personal Thingiverse. But once you go there and download the file, you'll come over here and hit import. And I'm going to choose the file. And I'm already in my file folder here, and I know it's this wing style A. I'm going to give it a click. I want it at scale 100. I've already went through and made sure the dimensions were right, 13.6, and the length and width are, I believe, a little bit different on this style from the others. And then I'm just going to hit import, and it's going to take a couple seconds, and there she is. And just kind of move it out. Kind of see over here that's got that slope going on. So, and we'll come back to TinkerCAD real quick, and there you go. There are 4 different sizes and shapes of Jersey barriers, so you kind of pick what you'd like. I mean, honestly, this one at the end would probably be perfect for 40K as is. The other one, all 4 together, would be really good for any sort of Western European World War II game or Conflict 47. that type of thing. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and check out MacTheMaker.com. I try to post weekly on whatever my next project's going to be, and give some details and methodology and all that kind of stuff. So there'll be some completed pictures of these printed out, and next to some bolt action minis and probably a Lehman Russ as well. Thank you.